Hi guys, I really hope you're well. I look like bloody Robin Hood today. On dirait Robin des Bois. So, very quick video talking about red, green and blue. So I would just ever so gently smack a few bums. Alors je vais quand même vous donner des fessées because we have done this in class. So this video is for Roscoe. Alors cette vidéo est bien pour Roscoe. But we have done this, so people are, oh Luke, could you send me a video on this kind of thing? Alors Luke, alors tu pourrais m'envoyer une vidéo, voilà, qui parle de ce genre de choses. And a bit of me is like, yes, but we have literally gone over it. You don't need to make a mountain out of a molehill, okay? Il faut pas en faire trop. It's like just, I've explained the situation, I've explained what's going to go on, snap, grab it up. Il faut le saisir de temps en temps. So, it's just a way in your brain of keeping your mind a little bit more organized. C'est juste une manière de trier, de faire le tri avec ton cerveau. So, if we're talking about a verb that goes straight from the verb, I've got fluffy ass hair, flying before the gel. If you've got a verb which goes, let me just take the top off this 1 second. I have weak fingers. Don't have the best joints. Right. If you've got a verb, Roscoe, which goes from the verb into the object. So, for example, I eat the cake. Alors moi, je mange le gâteau. Don't be overthinking, thinking manger le gâteau, that there's a the there. If I literally said, between the eat and the cake, do we have a preposition? Now, there are multiple prepositions, but the king and the queen of the preposition. World, or the king and the king, or the two queens, is a and de. So, do we have, in je mange le gâteau, do we have anything? Do we have anything between manger and le gâteau? No, we have no de. So we're going to call that a green sentence. A green sentence. And the only reason we're doing this is to help subdivide your brain so that you know green sentences can be arranged in different ways, or green verbs can be arranged in different ways, red verbs can be arranged in different ways, and blue verbs can be arranged in different ways. So when we say a green verb in my class, what we mean is a verb which, when it links to its object, it doesn't need a de or an a. So, for example, I see the man, je vois l'homme, I buy the fish, j'achète le poisson. We have no a and we have no de. Now, that just helps you divide your mind. Within the green, red and blue, within the green then, for example, there are different ways of doing it. So the fish I buy, le poisson que j'achète, you know what I'm buying, tu sais ce que j'achète, I buy it, je l'achète. So you just realize all of those are green style methods, and we will talk about those in just a moment. But green then is when you have a verb which goes into the object and nothing to worry about with an a or a de, all right? Let's just agree that that's green. Green for go, because it's the simplest object, the simplest way of doing it. Let's say red. Have we got anything red near us? Red is a form of a verb which is going to use the preposition de, or the pronoun en, or you've got a dans, or a se dans, or different relative pronouns. So it's anything to do with the de, dans, se dans, en family. Okay? So that will be red. There's a red car. We're good to go. So far, if it goes straight across and there's no preposition, green. If it goes straight across and we have a de in the original lineup of the sentence, that means subject, object. That means verb going straight onto the fully named thing, then that will be a red. If we move on to where we have a blue, which is when you, oh, have I got something blue? Yes, I have. There's a for sale sign here. My little OCD brain needs the blue. A blue sentence would be, Roscoe, when you go, you know, something involving an à between the verb and its object. So, for example, je pense à la situation. Je m'intéresse à la situation. A verb that would use an à. Whether or not it's got a reflexive, we don't care. It would just use an à. So let's quickly recap. If a verb goes straight into the object with no de or à, we're going to call it green. If it goes via something to do with the de, it's going to be red. And if it's going to go via something to do with the à, it's going to be blue. So very quickly, I'll say some sentences. You shout back red, blue or green. Now notice, the easiest way to find these for the moment is in a sentence structure, which goes verb, subject. So subject, the person doing the sentence, doing the verb, then the named object at the end in full. Not all sentences are like that, but that's our easiest way of catching it, okay? So, je parle la langue. Je parle la langue. I speak the language. Red, blue. Good God, Luke, put some gel in your hair. Red, blue or green? Green, because there's nothing, there's no à, there's no de. J'ai besoin de la crème. J'ai besoin de la crème. I need the cream. Red, yeah, because there's de in it. Je pense à la recette. I'm thinking of the recipe. Ah, that is a blue. All right. So there's our red, blue, and green situation. Now, there is nothing in the green family that will match anything in the red family, that will match anything in the blue family. Your brain just has to think each of these categories is going to have. There's lots of weird light bouncing around tonight. Each of these categories is going to have its own separate collection of stuff. So, I've done this video before. I did this video with a lady, a friend of mine called Gabby, and we were sitting at her kitchen table. So I've gone over the main 15 ways of doing this. And the way to check that you are comfortable is to know that there are 5 main ways to handle each of these red, green and blues. So the 5 main ways will be subject via the verb into the fully named object, subject, object, fully named objects, that's the thing that the verb is being done to, back into the, fully named, back into the verb. Or we've got the subject in full using a pronoun form of the object. Then we've got a what when it's a question and a what when it's not a question. That's basically the main 5. So for example, I eat the cake, cake named in full. I eat it, cake not named in full. The cake, cake named in full, but this time at the beginning, that I eat. What am I eating? Question what? You know what I'm eating, non-question what. So those are all your blue options. Sorry, pardon me, or your green options with, with I eat the cake, for example. So your brain subdivides and goes, I'm going to have, with the verb there, one of those 5. So let's do it. So you eat the cake. Tu manges le gâteau. We're in the green because there's no prepositions. The cake that you eat. Le gâteau que tu manges. So the reversed one on a green is always going to be que. You eat it, that's the pronoun form, so you're replacing the cake, but you're still keeping the sentence order starting with the person, but this time cake is not being said in full. Tu le manges. It could be very well tu le or tu la or tu l'es there, depending on whether it is male, masculine, female, feminine, obviously, or plural. It could be human being there. Tu le manges, tu le vois, tu la vois. What are you eating? Qu'est-ce que tu manges or tu manges quoi? Or que manges-tu? So there are 3 options with the green to do the what. And I know what you're eating. Je sais ce que tu manges. There's one option to do what when it's not a question with the green. So those little tricks that you've had, le, la, les, que, ce que, so le, la, les, que, ce que, nothing at the beginning, qu'est-ce que, all of those things, you're not going to get to use any of those anywhere else. Apart from, to be fair, you could use a quoi, but not on its own. So what are you eating? Tu manges quoi? You are going to get to use a quoi in the others, but not on its own. So those 5 possibilities, those 5 arrangements are green. Think of them as green. Let's do another green one. You buy the bread. So tu achètes le pain. You buy it. Tu l'achètes. The bread that you're buying, le pain que tu achètes, because you've got a reversed green. You've got a situation where you're starting with your object and then going to the verb. The bread that you buy, what are you buying? Qu'est-ce que tu achètes? Or qu'achètes-tu or tu achètes quoi? There's the question. I know what you're buying. Je sais ce que tu achètes. So more and more you'll just see within the realms of the green, that is what you have. If, Roscoe, you then went into a red one. So let's say I'm speaking about the situation now. Be very careful, because when we use certain verbs, we can use red, we can use blue, and we can use green. So for example, parler could be green. French, I speak it, je le parle. Je parle le français. You can say je parle français, je parle le français. I'm not going to go into it now, but you can say both. So je parle le français, je le parle. Qu'est-ce que tu parles? Je sais ce que tu parles. So I could use parler, I could use this verb in a green way, but here I'm going to use it in a red way, because I'm using the preposition de in my first arrangement, which is, as you know, subject with the object. Subject means the person doing the verb with the object named in full. So, je parle de la situation. I'm speaking about the situation. So then we could do a reversed red. So reversed red would be when you name you name the object, so the situation I'm speaking about. Now, a reversed green was always going to be a que, whether it's a human being or not. You know, je connais la fille que je connais. If you're reversing a red, a lot of the time it will be dont, D-O-N-T, unless you have got the preposition de meaning from. So for example, you receive a letter from the girl. Tu reçois une lettre de la fille. You then have the possibility, if your preposition originally meant from, of using what I call the 5-point star. And the 5-point star is when you're going to have that preposition, Roscoe, de, plus qui, plus lequel, plus laquelle, plus lesquels spelt the masculine way, plus lesquels spelt the feminine way. So you would have de qui, if you were talking about a human, duquel, if you're talking about a masculine thing, de laquelle, feminine thing, desquels, plural things, masculine, desquels, feminine things, plural. So that would be the 5-point option then. So de plus qui, duquel, de laquelle, desquels, desquels. If you're talking about the word from, any other time you're reversing a red, a de meaning about or of, you're just going to use the word dont. So for example, Roscoe, I talk about the language. Je parle de la langue. We're not using it for from there. Reverse them round. La langue dont je parle. So your standard reversed red. So red means the original verb use is going to be using de. Reversed means you're going to start with the thing rather than the person doing it. So je parle de la langue dont je parle. That's your reversal. That would be the same for a girl, a human being. I talk about the girl, je parle de la fille. The girl, I talk about la fille dont je parle. If you had a non-human thing there, that is where we would use the bottom 4 in the star. So for example, duquel, de laquelle, desquels, desquels. The department from which I received whatever, le département duquel, from which feminine, de laquelle, whatever. The bank from which, la banque de laquelle, that would be your reversed red with from. Then we go to the pronominal red, which is basically when you say, I talk about it. Yeah, that is where you are going to be bringing in an en. So j'en parle. Okay. Now we don't always do this with human beings. We will prefer to say things like I'm talking about him, not j'en parle, but je parle de lui. Yeah. We will often with de situations use you know, I need him. We wouldn't say j'en ai besoin. We'd say j'ai besoin de lui. Okay? So be careful when you use the en to talk about human beings. We will favour using de and keeping an object at the end, an object pronoun. So I talk about her, je parle d'elle rather than j'en parle. Okay? The act of her going out with somebody, I'm talking about it, j'en parle, fine. So that is your en. Then we've got our question forms. What are you talking about? Tu parles de quoi? Or de quoi tu parles? Or de quoi est-ce que tu parles? Yeah, you are going to need the preposition de and then the quoi, Roscoe. You're going to need the de in there for the question form. And then your what form, your what when it's not a question, I know what you're talking about. Although you will hear in slang, je sais de quoi tu parles, ce dont is your reversed, is your non-question what. So je sais ce dont tu parles. I know what you're speaking about. All right? That is your situation when what is in a red zone. Let's finally now go to blue. Blue is a verb situation where you use a. So I'm thinking, let's use situation again and say I'm thinking of the situation. Je pense à la situation. Now, although we're saying I'm thinking of in English, we're going to say I'm thinking of with an a in French. So we are in a blue. So our first one, je pense à la situation. Yeah. We can use penser de in French, but that is more of a question. What do you think of the situation? Qu'est-ce que tu penses de la situation? So I think of the situation, je pense à la situation. My reversal, so the situation I'm thinking of. In other words, when in the green we just had the word que, when in the red we mostly had the words dans, but then we had our 5-point star for when it was from, we have to use our 5-point star for this. So again, we're going to have a plus a qui for a person, auquel, à lequel, becoming auquel, à laquelle, feminine, auquel, A-U-X-Q-U-E-L-S, A-U-X-Q-U-E-L-L-E-S. We've got the feminine plural version. Now, to make this make sense, Antiluki's 5-point star, if you're dealing with a reversed a, I like to go human, feminine, auquel, 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 because it gives you this opportunity to say auquel 3 times. So à qui, for any reversal to do with a human being. So, for example, I'm thinking of the boy, je pense au garçon, the boy I'm thinking of, le garçon à qui je pense, to whom I'm thinking. Feminine, if it's not a human being, à laquelle. So the situation I'm thinking of, la situation à laquelle je pense. So that you then have auquel, A-U-Q-U-E-L, A-U-X-Q-U-E-L-S, A-U-X-Q-U-E-L-L-E-S. So you have the auquel, auquel, auquel. So Antiluki's 5-point star for reversal of a blue at verb will be à qui, à laquelle, auquel, auquel, auquel. À qui, à laquelle, auquel, auquel, auquel. For example, the department I'm thinking of, they'd be good people to contact. Le département auquel je pense. Okay? Now, we then have the version with a pronoun. So I'm thinking of it. So we cannot use le la le like we used in the red. We cannot use en like we used in the... Sorry, we cannot use le la le like we used in the green. We cannot use en like we used in the red. We're going to have to use I. So we swap it for a Y. I. So I'm thinking of the situation, j'y pense. Again, like we did with en, if we're in a human category, we would tend to say je pense à lui, je pense à elle, not the I, all right? But that is our pronoun version. What are you thinking of? Again, like we had to say de quoi, we're now going to need to say aqua. So if you've got a blue and you've got a question, you're going to need to say aqua. What are you thinking of? Tu penses à quoi? Or à quoi tu penses? Or à quoi est-ce que tu penses? We can ram in an est if we want, but we need the quoi. I know what you're thinking of, so this is my what, but it's not a question. Ce à quoi? And again, you'll hear, ouais, je sais à quoi tu penses, mais je sais ce à quoi tu penses, what you're thinking of when it's not a question. So in short, what we're basically saying is there are 5 options really for each of these styles. There is the person doing the fully named object. There is the fully named object headed back into the person doing the verb or the thing doing the verb. There is the starting the subject, that's the thing with the person doing the verb and having a replaced form of the object. There is the question form and there's the using the word what when it's not a question form. Those are 5 methods, and they will each have, and if your brain just goes, I'm in a red zone, a blue zone, and a green zone, we know what we are referring to. Yeah, so red means anything to do with de, en, ce dont. Your original lineup had a de. Green is nothing, it's free of everything. You know, j'achète le pain que j'achète, je l'achète, ce que j'achète. So we just kind of learn which family we're in, and then having decided which family we're in, we know where we are. So the green family are nothing, que, le lait, ce que, qu'est-ce que at the beginning, or just plain quoi at the end. The red family will be de, dans, or the 5-point star with de qui, duquel, de laquelle, desquels, desquels, an en, or a de lui, d'elle, whatever, ce dont. Yeah, those are my red possibilities. And my blue possibilities will be à, 5-point star, à qui, à laquelle, auquel, 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 à lui, à elle, ce à quoi, Aqua. Just get used to those 3 things and you will be fine. Now, Roscoe. So when I say red, blue and green, I do hope you know what I am referring to. I'm freezing my tits off, so I'm now going to go to the gym. I hope this has been useful. Let me bloody know if you don't understand this. I shall pop underneath the full video where we're talking about all these different situations. Okay. Yeah. All right. Take care, guys. Let me know if this is useful. There's a coffee link underneath this video, so you will be able to make a small contribution, which does buy me a coffee or indeed something to drink before going to the gym, which is massively appreciated. I hope you're enjoying the public classes, okay? I'll speak to you guys soon. I need to go to the gym, then I need a haircut. Bye-bye.